not too long, it's not too short. Plenty of hidden items and goodies to discover, like the triple dip badge, all those star pieces. And to finish things off, we have one final Peach segment where sadly we don't get to play as Peach for the first time since like the prologue, the intermission between the prologue and chapter 1, I'd say. Technically there were 2 of those, but you couldn't play as Peach during either one. The first time you get to play as Peach is the chapter 1 to chapter 2 intermission. Just the spy on Bowser's diary. Ain't that a funny hoot? A funny hoot and a half, really. So now that Bowser is aware, well, actually, I don't think he's aware right this minute. I think he assumes that maybe the Crystal King, being his most powerful minion, may have taken out Mario. But if he doesn't know now, he's fixing to know in a few minutes that, yeah, we took down all of his baddies. And we also have all the Star Spirits. You might be curious what ability you get from Kalmar. Kalmar's ability is honestly kind of useless because what it does is it will convert enemies into stars and makes them fly away. In essence, it's basically a glorified fright jar. So it just makes the fright jar item even more worthless because not only does Lady Bow have her spook attack, which only costs 3 flower points, now you have access to a screen nuke, essentially. You won't get any star points for it, but you do eliminate all of the enemies. And it doesn't even, it only costs 2. It's only gonna cost 2 of your star meter, yeah. The final ability in the game only costs 2. The most expensive one is Smooch, because it restores 20 HP, as it were. So, yeah, Mario, Bowser. Yeah, Bowser's getting ready, because, as you may have guessed, Chapter 8, we're going to storm Bowser's castle. And then we're going to storm Peach's castle after that, because, yeah, that's just how that's going to work out, as it were. So yeah, it's because of that that kind of interrupts this Peach segment, I guess. So now Peach is going to be in ropes for good until we get to Chapter 8 and do all that stuff. And Twink makes his presence known to Bowser and just gets unceremoniously swatted away, unfortunately. I don't remember if Twink contacts Mario again, like, before Chapter 8. I think Twink is busy just trying to get back to the castle, as it were. Yeah, short and sweet Peach segment there. Here's Kalmar just telling you that, yeah, well done. Thank you for rescuing him. All that stuff. They're in your debt, I'm sure. But, yeah, it gives you the power. You know, it's, Fly Away, I think it's called. We're fixing to see what it's called. Mario Star Energy's up to 7, a lucky number. Up and Away! Okay, that's a pretty good name. So, yeah, now you don't really need to do anything else in this chapter, but I do kind of want to show off the ability at least one time just for the sake of it. So I'm going to jump cut to the screen right before Shiver City. Okay? And we're back at the screen with the snowman. Alright. So back in the screen where we fought Junior Troopa, all of a sudden there's going to be enemies now, particularly Gulpits, which is pretty interesting. You look at the dizzy animation with the Gulpit, isn't that hilarious? Alright, so here is Up and Away, turns enemies into stars and blows them away. So we've basically shown off every Star Spirit power up to now, so let's give it a send-off with Up and Away. It does seem to have a pretty good success rate in my experience. I think the lower the star point yield from the enemies, the more likely it will work. So as you might have guessed, it probably isn't going to work very well in Chapter 8. So let's see if we can't try to avoid that Gulpit. Yeah, we can. Alright. So you remember the Toad House in Shiver City, how if you sleep there, you'll get a free ice potato? Well, let's try sleeping at the Toad House now, just to recover our star points. And let's see what we get this time around. That's right. Not only do you get an iced potato, not only do you get a potato, you also get an ultra shroom and 4 regular mushrooms, which you're probably not going to have room for, unfortunately, but get what you can, and let's head over to the item shop, and, let's see what we can do here. You probably want to, if you didn't already use the maple syrup and super shroom that we found in Crystal Palace, you could hold on to them for recipes, but if you've been watching every single episode up until now, including the bonus one, you shouldn't have to do that, as it were. So, let's go ahead and sell the maple syrup and the super shroom. I mean, these items are easy to access anyway, so... But don't sell the 2 ultra shrooms and the jam and jelly. You're gonna want those. So let's go ahead and check these items. Let's put the ultra shroom, the iced potato, the jam and jelly, the ultra shroom in storage. We do want to keep the big cookie and the life shroom though. Other items of interest, however. We do have 2 Rapple gels in storage. I think we're going to want to take one of them out. Because next time on Let's Play Paper Mario, we're actually not going to start off Chapter 8. It's not going to be a bonus video either. I'm actually going to make it a mainline episode. Because next time on Let's Play Paper Mario, we're going to visit the Toad Town Dojo. And you might be wondering why we're going to do that. Well, there's a really good reason for that. Do I really only have 1 life shroom in storage? Let me go ahead and buy, like, I don't know, 2 more life shrooms just for the sake of it. And let's put one of them in storage. Alright, 2 life shrooms, a Repple gel, and a big cookie. Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Play Paper Mario. And this is going to be the first of a 2-part finale as we head onwards to Shooting Star Summit to finally rescue Princess Peach from the clutches of the evil Bowser. And this is not the original Super Mario Bros. This is actually a Paper Mario. But, hey, she's stuck on a castle in the sky this time around, so I guess that's kind of a twist, right? But anyways, we have managed to complete pretty much 100% of the game thanks to 2 bonus videos and other miscellaneous actions taken between chapters. There is technically 1 badge remaining, which we will be collecting fairly early on into the final area of the game. But before we can do that, we need to actually find a way to Bowser's Castle, and by extension, Peach's Castle, as it were. And of course, we're going to recruit the help of the Star Spirits, who we just managed to rescue the final one not too long ago. And this sequence is rather interesting. What's also interesting is that there's actually going to be some enemies along the way to Star Haven, which is where we must go. Andy, let's head on to Star Way, I think this is called. No, Way. It's Star Way? Sway. Because, so we are pretty much at the max level, so the enemies here won't give experience. So again, like with the Paragloompas in Toad Town Tunnels, I'm mostly doing this just for completion's sake and for you guys. So say hello to the Ember, which is basically the successor to the Lava Bubble enemies from Chapter 5 in Mount Lava Lava. These only have 1 more HP, and funnily enough, I think they have the same attack power. But these guys can actually divide themselves when they're attacked. What's interesting, though, is that in the 1,000-Year Door, they actually made it so Embers and Lava Bubbles were in the same chapter. And they made the Lava Bubbles have less HP but more attack, and the Embers have more HP but less attack. So, I guess it's pretty interesting how they did that. It would be nice to have Ice Power here for increased attack. But as long as we have Power Pluses and Fire Shield, yeah, this is a one-shot. Well, it would be a one-shot if we didn't have to deal with the duplication, as it were. But it looks like Fire Shield plus 2 damage dodges nullifies the damage from these guys as well. But I'm pretty sure Squirt is still only going to do 9. And it still also multiplies them. Huh. And Power Quake doesn't hit them, so... Ah, well, not much you can do about that. I guess we just keep trudging forward. I wonder if they're going to do the attack where they... No, they're just going to keep jumping on Mario. I don't think we've had a Lava Bubble or Ember do, like, the attack for, spitting fireballs at the party member. We haven't really had a chance to show that often. Wow, I get to use Cooper. Alright, that's pretty cool, yeah. So, actually, I am kind of tempted to put Spin Attack back on in case I accidentally run into more of these guys. Wow, that was a lot of coins, though, surprisingly. So, although, actually, you don't have to do Spin Attack, matter of fact. We could do Bump Attack, because, yeah, we did get that. So, you know, we got that from Rip Cheeto. So now, just touching an enemy will pretty much, yeah, it'll just pretty much instantly knock him out. Free coins is pretty nice, though. Can't complain about that. See, I think there's like 3 or 4 of these embers along the way. Wow, that's lucky. Yeah, about 3 of them. It was about 3. Yeah, when you get to these lampposts, you're pretty good. By the way, if you haven't done Chuck Quizmo by now, Chuck Quizmo can show up here, because this is Star Haven, and this counts as a town. We have a Toad House, and funnily enough, I think I want to take them up on their offer, since we are down a measly 6 flower points, but hey, got to show off that one random enemy that's just hanging around on the way to the final area, you know? But Star Haven is full of star children that look slightly different than Twink does. They look slightly more mature, I would say. And I still have to give this town its dues. That's why we're trying to show off everything. There's this house with this star kid. But I don't think they say anything interesting. Wonder why they bothered to put that there. But anyway, let's see what the item shop has in store. Oh, they sell shooting stars. Oh, for 15 coins, though, that's a really good deal, but not a surprising item to see. Super Shrooms and Maple Syrups have never been cheaper, but by this point in the game, they're not going to do much for you. Life Shrooms for 25 is a really good deal, though. So the items we're going into... Oh, yeah, and I still have a Honey Syrup from Amazy Daisy Shenanigans. Why don't we go ahead and sell that? Why not? Matter of fact, is there anything else I can sell? Probably, but... Honestly, I think I'd rather keep most of this stuff, because you never know when it could come in handy, but I also want to leave some slots open in case we get items during the chapter. So, 2 shooting stars, probably put the Deluxe Feast in storage, to be honest, and 1 of the Life Shrooms. Since, yeah, if you manage to get to a point where you have to have a Life Shroom revive you in a battle, I don't think it's likely that it'll happen more than the 1 time, for what it's worth. So, and let's have Lakylster around just because, you know, he's the last party member, so he doesn't get as much spotlight as the other ones. And battle-wise, I'm not sure if I'm going to be using him much during the final area, during Bowser's Castle. I mean, is it really a spoiler to say that we're about to enter Bowser's Castle? I mean, come on now. Alright, so we enter the Shrine of the Star Spirits, I assume. The fight to Bowser's Turf. Well, that's kind of a blunt and to the point right there. But yeah, we gotta go on his turf. But before we do, the Star Spirits have one final gift to give us. A secret 8th star power known as Star Beam. Now you might be wondering, if this is something you technically have to use against Bowser, as L-Star is pointing out right now, why would they give it to you now rather than saving it for literally right before the final battle? Well, technically, you can use the Star Beam against regular enemies. And in fact, there is one enemy in Bowser's Castle that is capable of inflicting status ailments to you while also giving stat buffs to other enemies. And I know what you might be thinking, that sounds like a Magikoopa. Well, if it sounds like a Magikoopa, and it quacks like a Magikoopa, it's probably a Magikoopa. But anyway, Yeah, if an enemy has buffs on it, you can use Starbeam to remove the buffs. So that is why they give you Starbeam now rather than right before the boss, because there's a small chance you might use it on an enemy that has buffs rather than, just not using Starbeam and actually attacking, and you'll probably just knock out the enemy that has buffs anyway. Yeah, I don't think they thought that one all the way through, but we are still going to need the Starbeam for, final battle with Bowser, because, yeah, as we know from the prologue battle, Bowser will inevitably use the Star Rod to power himself up. And when that happens is when you're expected to use the Starbeam to get him back to normal. And there's the Toad Kid that wants nothing but Shroom Cake. This is kind of funny. I mean, Shroom Cake's a pretty solid... Oh, wait, no. Shroom Cake is the one that I think does 10 HP, 10 flower points. That's not very good at this point. Again, you want a sweet Shroom if you have to choose, since that's 30 HP and 20 flower points, which is pretty good. Now, Chapter 8, a star-powered showdown. Yeah, because Star Spirit's on one side with Mario and the Star Rod on Bowser's side. It just makes sense like that. Save block over there in case you need it. Now, if you're wondering about... Because I'm going to go ahead and show you guys that the final badge is in that block over there. Now, if you're wondering... when is the best time to try and, backtrack, save the game and backtrack to Toad Town in order to, save your file to have it be 100% complete? Well, that would be it. By the way, say hello to the Koopa Trolls, which at level 25, you can actually equip the Bump Attack badge or anything similar, and you can knock them out without even fighting them. But we already showed off a fight with the Koopa Trolls back in Shy Guy's Toy Box. It was an optional encounter. So I don't really feel the need to leave those fights in again. We will do that. And... Whoa, that looked pretty close there, actually. And... Oh! Well, I learned my lesson after that. That is the true best compromise. Let's go ahead and head forward. And bam. I do believe we'll be running into a Hammer Bro enemy here shortly. Hammer Bros will still give 1 star point at this level. Possibly 2. So I guess we'll leave this fight in. It's 2 Hammer Bros instead of just 1. So that's pretty neat. But we also already tattled the Hammer Bros in Shy Guy's Toy Box. Because, again, yeah, you can get one to show up as an enemy depending on your choices. They have 1 defense, so keep that in mind. A shell shot and another 6 attack will do them good. This is a rather timely help from Merlee, because if the Hammer Bro hits you with a hammer, it will shrink you. Or it has a chance to shrink you. But you don't want that to happen. Now, you might think 1 defense is low for an enemy this late in the game, but actually, they can't be flipped over. So that's kind of the compromise compared to other Koopa-ish enemies, I would say. But anyways, we head forward and then we talk to this Dora guy. I actually don't know what these guys are called. Oh, they're just called guard doors. Okay. So guard doors bear the resemblance of Bowser, and they basically are gatekeepers. We have to get through them in order to continue through the castle. But here's the thing. They really like throwing monkey wrenches into the operations. So we talk to that one, and we essentially get put in jail. Might be some slight deja vu here to Chapter 1, where Bombette and her bomb crew were imprisoned in a jail. And you probably already noticed the crack in the wall over here, which, yeah, pretty easy to resolve that issue. It's interesting is that Bombette makes a comment that the material of the wall is weak, apparently weaker than Koopa Brothers' fortress. So apparently the Koopa Brothers can afford better material for their walls than even Bowser. I just find that point kind of interesting. Don't forget that Wop can track down hidden blocks for you. These boxes, if you break them, contain 1 useful item and 1 not useful item. But I guess worst case scenario, we can always toss it later on, so it's not really that big of a deal. Welcome to the lava section. Now, I don't think you need Paracarry necessarily. It's just you need to be really precise with your jumps. Obviously, for larger gaps, you will need paracarry. You could try to shortcut, quote unquote, but paracarry is actually kind of slow. So you may just want to wait it out, if anything. And, the platforms also rise and fall, so that's kind of annoying. I actually kind of wonder if I can just do this instead of trying the paracarry method there. And that seemed to work out pretty good, but again, you gotta have good timing for that sort of thing. Now, you may think you're not able to go over lava with Lackauster, but actually you can. What's interesting is that when you go over the lava with Lackauster, he actually slows down and has a pained expression. So either it's because he's so close to the lava that the heat is bothering him and or his cloud, or it's just, I don't know what to tell you guys there. But, yeah, we're just going to keep going forward. We got to hit this switch. I know there was a door there, but that door is not going to be relevant right now because we are going to have something of a forced encounter coming up, which will contain Koopa Trolls, so if you wanted to see at least one Koopa Troll encounter in this chapter, you're going to see it soon because it's a forced encounter with an enemy that we need to re-tattle in a way. Because it is an enemy we encountered all the way back in the prologue. And for some reason we have to tattle it again. I guess it's because technically it's different stats, obviously, but it is pretty much the same enemy in essence. So we should be coming up to that and for here pretty soon. But yeah, mostly we gotta deal with lava. There's a mystery item over there which kind of gives away that you can get it through other means, like maybe we can use a Cooper Shell Toss to get it, why not? Could be pretty interesting to have that item for the fight, actually. There's also a Thunder Rage over there, but I'm like 99% sure that Cooper isn't going to be able to reach that far. It's nice to have a Thunder Rage for free. It's just that shooting stars do outclass them by this point in the game. Okay, so you notice a lava waterfall here, and you might be thinking, how are we going to go through that? Well, if you turn invisible, lava will not affect you. Isn't Lady Bo just magnificent for that sort of thing? Yeah, kind of. I mean, she's still a pretty good party member. You can find an enemy that has 0 defense, which there is at least one that I can think of. So I think this is where we want to go. Yes, it is. That's quite the lava waterfall there. So yeah, we're fixing to have that encounter coming up. So let's swap to Goombario so we can try and get that tattle out of the way. And say hello to Kamek. No, I'm just kidding. This is just a regular run-of-the-mill Magikoopa. Well, technically, this is actually the strongest Magikoopa variant in the game. And it's just called Magikoopa. It's the same name and appearance as the Magikoopa we fought all the way back in the prologue, right after we got the Lucky Star. You know, the first fight you do after you get action commands. Really makes everything feel like it comes full circle. I'm telling you. So, yeah, this is a forced encounter, so we will leave it in. Even though I've already fought Koopa Trolls, we at least get one more good fight with Koopa Trolls, okay? So let's go ahead and re-tattle the Magikoopa. I'm not even sure if there's like any new dialogue other than, yeah, they're the elite magicians. So these Magikoopas have double the attack of the other Magikoopas, which is 6 attack, and they still have 11 HP, which is still fairly considerable. I won't deny that. And they're also able to use any kind of magic. They can make enemies transparent, electrified, boost their defense, boost attack, and heal HP. Of course, Power Quake is still going to be very good here since the Magikoopa's on the ground. But most likely, I think the Magikoopa responds to Power Quake with a heal, which is a logical thing to do, to be honest. I don't think that's going to cut it, though, because we're going to do this. I also think that these Magikoopas probably won't run away from you when they're all by themselves. Not that it matters very much because the Magikoopa is going down. Yep, you definitely want it to use a heal to waste a turn. I find that that's really hopeful for this sort of situation. So let's swap back to Lackauster and hit this switch. This switch will cool off the lava, and now is the point when we're able to get that badge. The 80th and final badge. Right at the entrance to Bowser's Castle. So, yeah, the lava totally cooled off in hard. Forget about it. Way to use the old brain. That's why you're the man. Every day, man, I learn something new from you. We get a send-off of Lakauster's personality, which is, Wait, is this a crack in the wall? Hold on, I need to check this out. Is this a crack? I don't think it is, but it kind of looks like it could be. No, it's not a crack in the wall. I was about to say, man, was there a secret there this whole time? And I just never noticed in 2+ decades of playing this game? Good word. But yes, without the lava being active, the lava's like hardened and everything. Oh, we were supposed to use the mystery during that fight, weren't we? Well, power quake strats. Sorry, it just worked out the way it did. So what we want to do is we want to head all the way to the left. And I mean all the way to the left. I think actually technically we could have done this when the lava was still, active. But it feels more convenient to, also we need to stop by here to get this key. That's very important. But we need to head all the way to the left. It's possible you might have been able to do this when the lava was still active, but it's better to do it now, truth be told. And they really could have trimmed this down by like one screen and it would have been pretty nice. But yeah, we're heading all the way left so that we can get the 80th and final badge. And this will truly be 100% completion for Paper Mario, besides getting to the next level and defeating the final boss. But again, because of the way the save system works... Oh, crud, another life shroom, huh? Well, I guess we can part with the mystery. So sad. It's almost like the game doesn't want us to use mysteries. I don't think that's the first time I had to, toss it. The life shrooms are better. But yeah, getting this badge is essentially 100% completion of Paper Mario because, again, when you defeat the final boss, gee, I wonder who it could be, the game freezes at the ending. And yeah, the final badge is a third Deep Focus badge. You think maybe they gave you enough of those? I would think so. But we are fixing to come up to the point where you can actually backtrack safely to Toad Town, but we have to actually get back to that guard door so we can head like left from the guard door to exit, through Bowser's Castle the normal way. And if this episode was carrying on longer, we'd probably end it there at a pretty convenient point. But we're probably going to try and keep going for a little while longer because, yeah, this final dungeon takes a while. And there's still the whole final battle and everything. And I'm going to let you guys know that all of that takes time. And that's probably going to have to all be an episode of its own. But thankfully, it does seem like that this can be done in 2 episodes rather than the whole Chapter 5 situation. And honestly, even if there was a Chapter 5 situation, what's wrong with the final part being longer than an hour? Like, come on now. Or longer than an hour and a few minutes. It's just... I've been kind of loosey-goosey with the lengths for Paper Mario since it is an RPG, so you expect it to be longer than a platformer or any other type of game on average. Anyway, we unlock that lock, and we are now in the dark caves of Bowser's Castle. There is technically a new enemy here, but we can't tattle the enemies, so I'm going to try to... Just because I can't think of anything else, so yeah. This enemy is called a Bony Beetle, which I think is based on an enemy from Super Mario World, but the way they are in Paper Mario is, I would say, a little bit different than how I remember the Bony Beetles from Super Mario World. No, actually, no, I think they could project spikes from their shell, but I don't think the spikes were yellow. I don't know, but yeah, these enemies are technically from Super Mario World, but their appearance might throw you off a little bit, just a little bit. There are some hidden blocks here, but this contains a power block, which you don't really want. Just hit the block just for OCD's sake, I guess. I don't know. Of course, don't forget to check the other ridges. There was a Bony Beetle there, but we don't really care. Bony Beetles, I'm pretty sure, don't give star point. They're on the lower end of star points for enemies in Bowser's Castle. Magic Koopas still give 1, we know that, and so do Hammer Brothers. There's going to be at least one other enemy that gives a lot more than 1 star point, and we will run into those eventually. And those enemies are going to be key to getting to the next level, besides the 2 mandatory fights, or technically 3, but 2 mandatory fights and 1 optional fight, actually. Okay, so this is a shooting star. Man, it is getting really hard to choose which items to toss and which ones to keep. I really like the frozen fries, but we're going to have to part with them because they only restore 15 HP. I'm liking how all the items I'm tossing are landing right on top of the blocks, though. That's a pretty nice touch, I won't lie. It doesn't seem like there are any hidden blocks here, which, actually, now I think about it, maybe all of the blocks are hidden because in the dark cave you have to have watt all the time to keep it lit up. So maybe the blocks are just hidden by default. It doesn't even really matter, truth be told. So, but is there anything down here? Actually, I guess we're supposed to do that. Oh, and there's a Magikoopa here. I kind of want to fight this for experience. Yep, every little star point counts. Wow, a Super Shroom, really? I didn't think Magikoopas could drop Super Shrooms. But you learn something new every day. That was probably the fastest run of the Dark Caves I've ever done. So, let's just move this block, and as you might have guessed, we're going to be back in the room with the guard door. And it only took like half an hour or so. But you came back? You escaped from that underground jail. Well, there was no way you could escape. Grrr, all the dirty tricks. I just have to keep my word. You can go through. But now is an important time to mention that you can head through here to eventually head back to go back to Toad Town. And I'm only going to say this now for you guys because you'll have the final badge and all that. Probably have most of the tattles, not that the game even tracks tattles here. That's not until the 1,000-Year Door where they track tattles. So we're going to keep playing a little bit longer. The episode's going to go on a little bit longer. The more we get done now, the better the splits will be. So, yeah. Pretty sure I still have the bump attack badge because we're going to knock out this Koopa Troll for another key. Now, the point of this is not only to free the Toads from their jail. Well, they'll stick around, but they'll run away later on. But this also serves as a makeshift Toad House, which is actually going to come in handy because we need to restore our flower points mostly. The items, what are those? The items are mostly to be used in battle, as it were. And you might be wondering if there's an item shop in Bowser's Castle, and there actually technically is. And I think it's actually around this area, so we're going to try and come up to that, as it were. And there's a save block there. Might have to keep that in mind in case we have to end the episode there. But let's go ahead and head to the left, because I think this is where... Yep, this is the item shop. To unlock the item shop, you need to talk to this Spike Goomba over here, who's really, really bored. If you got any coins, he'll sell us stuff. So yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of this stuff is kind of at a price hike, except for the mystery, I guess. Dizzy Dial, Power Block, Thunder Rage is all pretty expensive. The value of this item shop is that you can sell stuff, and honestly, let's sell the Thunder Rage because we have shooting stars. Really tempted to sell one of the life shrooms, to be honest, just to unclutter the inventory a tad, and yeah. Now let's check like a shooting star or two, and one of the life shrooms I think we'll keep. So now that's 6 items, and let's claim. Actually, I have 2 Thunder Rage in storage. Let's claim another shooting star. You will see why. And a Repel Gel. I actually kind of want to come back here to get some more items because I'm pretty sure there's going to be an enemy encounter coming up that will drain our resources, as it were. But let's keep trudging forward, and more Magikoopas. But say hello to the Bony Beetle proper, because now we can actually tattle it. So I guess it's actually 2 tattles that are after this, but again, you can just backtrack to Toad Town after you get back to that guard door and just be done with it. Because again, the original Paper Mario does not keep track of your tattles, but it'll keep track of HP if you get them. So anyway, Bony Beetles, they change between having their spikes projected and not having their spikes projected every time they get attacked, as it were. So this encounter could be kind of deadly. Good thing Power Quake flips them over and kind of renders that point moot. So if you flip them over, it won't change their mode. Wow, double heal. Why didn't you just do a party heal? I'm pretty sure this fight's gonna drag on just a bit, but hey, we get to see more of the capabilities of the... No, we don't. No, we don't. That was actually a fairly easy encounter, truth be told. But yeah, Bony Beetles don't give star points, but the Magic Koopas do, and that's why I kind of wanted to keep the fight in, as it were. Man, we are really getting a lot of coins, though. I'm kind of surprised. Another Magic Koopa? Don't mind if I do. I say as that was the fight that got me the level up I needed to get to 45 flower points at a pretty good time, truth be told. I'm pretty sure it's the last enemy there, so that's pretty good. And, this room. Okay, so you want to have Sushi as your party member for this, because this is kind of a puzzle where you have to make the water level rise and basically unlock stuff to get a key to move on. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was a guard door on the other side of that door. So, yeah, we get one last hurrah with Sushi. Which is pretty nice, but... yeah, I do like Sushi's ability to be able to traverse water and all that. But this puzzle room with raising the water levels and whatnot, it goes on for a bit. But I will say that it is nice that we're finally finishing Paper Mario here. You know, it was a fairly long journey, but it was very fun to finally do a Let's Play of one of my favorite games of all time. You know, hey, we should probably do this again sometime with another Paper Mario game. Maybe we should do it with Paper Mario Sticker Star. Even if I wanted to, I can't because it's a 3DS game and 3DS capture is like, no. And could you imagine, like, trying to do a 3DS game with live commentary? Like, what a mess that would be. Jeez. That would have to be a post-commentary thing exclusively, which I'm not against. But I gotta say, I definitely prefer live commentary like I'm doing now. So, you know. And you see, I'm not really talking about the game that much. Because, oh, didn't block with a maple syrup there. I just took a gamble on that. I didn't even really... So is there really more hidden blocks that we're not aware of? Telling you, man, what comes in clutch? Not that it matters very much, but yeah, I guess that maple syrup could come in handy coming up. But honestly, that level up will help out more than anything else for an optional enemy encounter coming up, which we will almost certainly save state before we get there. Almost certainly. The thing about it is, we get the key, and then we basically have to do everything all over again. We have to backtrack here and get yanked on the chain again, all over again, as it were. You know, that whole shebang. Although I am curious if there's like a wall we can destroy here. Nah. You know, so there was that wall in the Crystal Palace that didn't have like a crack or anything that you blow up. And that's how you get the triple dip bash, so that's what I was thinking mostly, you know. But yeah, this room doesn't take that long to do. And you get one last hurrah with Sushi. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're coming up to an optional encounter to be sure, but one that for one I didn't even know existed like the first few times I played the game. And second of all, it's probably the hardest fight in the game. Harder than Kenshi Koopa, harder than Master 3, harder than even the final boss. Because, oh man. Oh, no, it's not going to be Door Guy yet. I know what we got to deal with here. We got to deal with a new brand of the Bullet Bills and Bill Blasters. That being the Bombshell Bills and Bombshell Bill Blasters, I think. So thankfully, Bump Attack should take care of the Bills, even if you're like maybe 2 or 3 levels lower, but I'm pretty sure these guys still give experience. They also have a lot of defense. Like, you want to talk about a lot of defense? These guys have 4 defense and 10 HP. So if you didn't have any Power Pluses, yeah. Thankfully, Power Quake penetrates their defense, so for 4 flower points, it's a pretty good deal. Anyway, let's tattle the Bombshell Bill. 3 HP and like 6 attack. Not that it matters very much. And it is tempting to use an item here because, yeah, I don't have multi-bounce, so I'd be taking quite the beating from the bullet bills, but you know what? I think I can afford it. I don't want to use up any of my items, and I don't want to use up any star power because I know there's a Dora guy coming eventually, which has one of, like I said, pretty much the hardest fight in the game. Unlike the Bill Blasters from Koopa Brothers Fortress, though, you have to fight a set of these guys. Also, nice to get more coins, but coins are nearly useless now. But yeah, we need to do this fight 3 more times. Also, yeah, free flower point recovery and stuff from that, so that's pretty cool. We do need to do this fight 3 more times, but since it's forced encounters, I guess I'll leave them in. Again, generally, the strategy you want to do, I guess we'll swap the Bombette for her Power Bomb, which could come in handy. It's not going to be as good on damage, though, so we'll do Power Quake, and then... No, wait, what am I talking about? Let's bring out Watt and just do Electro Dash, and then it'll finish them off in 1 hit. And it's only 1 HP of overkill. I think that's not a bad deal. And then there's only 1 Bombshell Bill, which I can just do bada bing, bada boom, and then do another Electro Dash and just be done with it. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier, but... that's the beauty of Paper Mario. A lot of times there's multiple ways to defeat enemies and bosses. I mean, that's partially why this game and the sequel, The Thousand Year Door, are so replayable. I would say this one is... well, I don't know. It's really weird to compare this game to Thousand Year Door because, like, The Thousand Year Door probably has higher highs, but it also kind of has lower lows. Also, the last 2 fights have a random enemy just thrown in for the lulz, but, I mean, a Koopa Troll, I mean, come on now. If you have Power Quake, even if you just have the dinky Quake Hammer, you'll still be good, because you're still penetrating defense and all that. Actually, this might be a little problem. No, I'm just kidding. I'll just do Power Quake again and have Watt use Electro Dash on the Bombshell Bill. I had you going, though. Also, I think we got a 3rd encounter with the Koopa Troll, so they're putting in the work with these forced encounters that I'm trying not to cut out if I can help it. If I ever do a Let's Play of a Pokemon game, though, don't expect me to hold to that of a standard, though. I might still be tempted to cut out random trainer fights if I don't think they're very interesting to show off. But that's just a hypothetical, okay? Don't get your hopes up now. Although I wouldn't be against it. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. Let's try to get a first strike with Bombette, if we can. I would think that it would do more damage than the uncharged Ultra Hammer, as it were. Yeah, this should do 3 damage, right? Yeah, that's pretty cool. So the final one's going to have another Magikoopa on board, and I think what we want to do here, it's really tempting to try and finish off. Actually, I probably should still finish off the Bill Blaster, to be honest, just to cut down on the Bombshell Bill threat. And worst case scenario, I think the Magikoopa is going to go for a heal rather than something else annoying. Yeah, I called it. And doesn't even use it on the Bombshell Bill. Yeah, it's pretty good. So Power Quake costs 4 flower points, which is a little pricey when you first get it, but by the time you get to this point in the game, it is less than 10% of your flower points, so you really can just have at it, and you're in pretty good shape. Pretty good shape, I would say. Wow, yeah, that was pretty good there. So, case. Okay, actually, we're still in good shape, so say hello to the Dry Bones, another classic Mario enemy returning from, Mario... No, I think they're in the original. Not 100% sure, to be honest, when they first appeared, if it's Super Mario Bros. 1 or Super Mario Bros. 3. But one of those games was the first appearance of these guys, and 8 HP, 4 attack, 2 defense is pretty good. But here's the thing about Dry Bones in the Paper Mario series, at least the first 2 games. So, we need to swap to Cooper or Bombette, because Dry Bones take extra damage from fire attacks and explosion attacks. Also, that's the only way to completely kill these enemies is using fire and explosive attacks. So it's a little pricey, but the good thing about dry bones is that these are the enemies with the highest EXP yield in the game. Enemies, not bosses, which will give 2 star points apiece. I think they give 3 if they're in a group of 3 or 4 or more, though. That's usually what happens with enemies is when they're in a group, they will give more experience usually, which is pretty nice. So yeah. Just another... That one only had 1 dry bones, though, which is kind of annoying. I would have hoped for more. I guess we can go ahead and eat this super shroom because we really want to keep our items not cluttered. Kind of worried about the flower points, but I think there should be art blocker in here somewhere, right? Hopefully? Or something. Like, jeez. Alright, again, a fight that I would probably be unprepared for. This room just has a bony beetle. Which, yeah, I don't think if it had a dry bones in the party, then it wouldn't have been instantly defeated. Okay, here's the heart block. That's going to come in clutch. I think we need to look for a key, I want to say. Something around here. Actually, I want to head back because there's like a bunch of hidden secrets with these blocks around here. And that's pretty nice, so... Let's see if there's anything there. No. Oh, I get it now. We want to come back here. So there's a save block there. That's pretty good. So now I know what's coming. Now I know what's coming and when it's coming. So, yeah. Let's take care of this hammer, bro, real quick. Merly coming in clutch with the double EXP. So we're looking very good over here. So let's accidentally run into here and we see that there's nothing here. Let's maybe try to bring Watt out, and no, there's literally nothing there. Interesting, interesting. Makes you wonder why they would do something like that. Well, that's because there's a hidden room. And it's pretty nice how they do that whole mind trickery. Nothing over there, though, although that would be interesting. That would be quite curious, one could say. So let's head over here and grab the key. And now... I guess, funnily enough, this might actually be the finale for this episode, is we're going to do that fight. And then I guess next time, yeah, it's going to be the rest of the stuff. That's going to be fun. Okay, so here we go. Let's get healed up with the heart block. And make sure I'm back over here. Yep, let's unlock the door, but not go through it. Let's go forward, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, enter with Goombario because you may or may not have to tattle. Say hello to door guy numero dos. And this time, what he's going to do is give us a chance. And we're going to give it a shot. What he's going to do is a little quiz. So you're expected to get correct answers. And we could do that, and we would move on without, like, getting scratched. We only have to get 5 correct answers. But if we get 3 wrong answers, we will fight a rather interesting encounter of enemies. So, for completion's sake, I do want to show this off. I mean, wish me luck with this, though. This could be quite difficult. I wouldn't be surprised if I actually have to reset. This is the hardest boss encounter in the entire game, in my humble opinion. Okay, thankfully. I wasn't even really paying attention, so I'm glad I actually got that wrong. To be fair, though, with 3 answers, if you just blindly go in, you have a 2 out of 3 chance to get it wrong anyway. So 4 blue, 4 green, and 3 red. Something like that. But the questions can be a little weird, though. So even getting the correct answers may not be that easy. There were 3 red Shy Guys, I know that much. So blue or green would do fine there. So we only need to get 1 more wrong answer. Let's skip through this dialogue, because yeah, we are kind of pressed for time a little bit here. And yeah, I'm actually wondering if we have another area after this with another save block. That would be really good timing. So is this going to ask who came from where? Did the bombs come from the middle? I doubt it. I doubt it. Alright. So when you get 3 wrong answers, the door guy has a special surprise. that surprise is the anti-guys unit. That's right. 3 anti-guys. And we have to fight them, all 3 of them, at the same time. And also, we have to retitle them because these technically count as different enemies for some odd reason. Maybe they have different properties with status ailments. I don't know. So a really good strat to do is do double dip. Let's do Repel Gel. You could equip Refund for the lulz, but again, coins don't really serve a purpose here. And let's back it up with a Shooting Star, since it'll deal more than 10% of their HP. Okay, and then they're going to try to do their little attacks, which will do a lot of damage because we have P up, D down, so they will deal 11 to 13 damage, not factoring in guards. But that's what Chill Out is for. Anyway, we have Multi-Bounce, Power Quake, and so on, but let's try our luck with Power Bounce, because that's going to be our greatest damage output for sure. And that was pretty good. Now, you can also do Fan Smack with Lady Bow, but there's actually something else you can do with Watt. We're finally going to get to show off Mega Shot, because these guys have a pretty okay chance of getting paralyzed, as you can see. And they do get paralyzed for 3 turns. I think that's the difference. And yeah, what good timing. Let's go ahead and double dip 2 Shooting Stars back to back. If I do this fight without getting hit, I will surprise myself. Apparently, it is possible, since, you know, paralyzing and all that stuff. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. So let's do that double dip, and let's get to a party member that can do a lot of damage to them all. Fire Shell would do 6 for 5. Power Bomb does 7 for 6. Yeah, I guess we're going to do that. So, Power Bomb. Not sure if it's the first time I'm showing this off, but there you go. And the first anti-guy is down. That's like 9 star points. That's not bad. Okay. Let's bring out Lady Bow, because we can use out of sight, worst case scenario. And let's do this again. Bang. Bada boom. Not bad at all. And let's use Fan Smack on the other anti-guy, because that's 10 damage for 5 flower points. That is a bargain. That is a bargain that I cannot deny. I think Power Quake will do slightly more damage than Multi-Bounce. So let's do this. And am I really about to do this without Oh my freaking god. I really just did this fight without getting hit a single time. And I didn't have to use any healing items. Well, that just happened, and we're going to have max level by the end of the game. Yeah, I'm just as surprised as you are, door guy. Well, I mean, I knew I was going to defeat them, but without getting hit? Oh, we are not quite done yet, darn it. Ah, well. Yeah, we're going to have some more enemies here, so let's go ahead and rearrange badges all over again. Yeah. So, let's get rid of Power Bouncer now. Power Quake really is your best option for the enemy encounters here, if you're trying to save up. So, yeah, let's get to an actual normal output here with these badges. Man, I quit Mega Rush and Power Rush for, like, nothing. Like, it didn't even matter. So, yeah. And this ought to be a maple syrup, which we will eat right away, because we need flower points for Power Quake shenanigans. The only enemies you should care about are Dry Bones, since they give experience. Hammer Bros still give experience, but I think the Magikoopas no longer give experience. So don't worry about Magikoopas too much anymore. There's a Jam and Jelly over there if you want. I mean, hey, we can take it. It's just that we can't cook it. We can't cook a Jam and Jelly with an Ultra Shroom right now to get a Jelly Ultra, which is kind of a shame. I'm not gonna lie. Magikoopa, yeah, that proves it right there. They don't give star points, so we can just knock them out, which I am more than okay with. Matter of fact, I think Bump Attack will also take effect even if the enemy gets the first strike on you, so that's insanely convenient. And here we are. We've made it. We made it, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to go over here. This place is a mirror location. is sort of mirrored of the other spots. So that means to the left, we're going to have the second and final Toad House of Bowser's Castle. Toad House in quotation marks. We made it! And now, we're going to take a nap, and we are also going to end this episode, the penultimate episode, but I will see you guys next time for the finale of Let's Play Paper Mario. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hello everyone, and welcome to the final episode of Let's Play Paper Mario. What else is there that needs to be said other than sit back and enjoy as we finish off this game? But it is a bit bittersweet, I will admit, since this is such a great game, but well, I'm inevitably going to replay it one of these days, so, you know, it's like, yeah, it's the end of the game, but at the same time, this game is forever, and we keep replaying it because we love Paper Mario and we don't want it to go anywhere. And thankfully, now it won't. Anyway, we come to the left over here to get an Ultra Shroom. And before we continue, honestly, I don't even think it's necessary to knock out any more enemies, but I'm still going to do it anyway. So at this point, Dry Bones are the enemy with the highest star point yield. They'll give 2 if they're in a party of, like, 2 or smaller, or 3 or smaller. If they're in a party of 4, then they will give 3 star points apiece. So if you run into a party of 4 Dry Bones, you're still going to get 12 star points, which is pretty good, if I must say so myself. Hammer Bros will still give 1 star point, so I'm pretty sure these are mandatory. 1 measly star point. Not even anything. At any rate, let's head over here, because it's another room where we have to hit a switch, as it were. And wait for it, because that Magikarp is rather pesky, but Magikarps no longer give experience, so we don't need to worry about that. We can use Cooper to hit that switch, and it's pretty easy to do. And here is the key, so that's pretty easy. That's easy enough to obtain, I would say. Wait, what am I doing? I could just bump into the enemy, right? Yeah, got some flower points for it too. But yes, we are near the end of Bowser's Castle. We did a good chunk of it last time around, truth be told. You know what? I think I'd rather let that Hammer Bro to its own devices. Okay, for this puzzle, you need to pay attention to the order that the torches are in. There's up, down, down, up, down, up. And it's the same order every single time you play the game. It's not randomized like some elements of Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, for example. So up, and then we go down twice, and then it's basically alternating up, down, up after that, which could trip you up a little bit, but probably not, to be honest. But yes, we are nearing the end of Bowser's Castle, and then it'll be Peach's Castle, and we can finally rescue the princess and all that good stuff. I will say, honestly, though, like, the final section, the final chapter of Paper Mario, it's not that it's bad, or I think it's bad, but it does kind of drag on a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, so even the Elite Magikarps, they'll still run away if it's just down to them by themselves. So, let's swap to Lady Bow for what's coming up next, which, oh, there's a heart block. That's pretty nice, but, let's just head on forward and see what's ahead of us, and... oh. Princess Peach? Could it be? It should be pretty obvious that this isn't Peach, and this is obviously a trick. But you might be wondering, how are they able to do a trick like this? You might be wondering. Well, just keep walking, and for some reason, Peach is unable to stay caught up with us. Like, you keep going and going and going, and you get to the end, then you try to go back, and oh, was that a duplicate ghost I saw? So why don't we try hitting this so-called Peach a few times? And yeah, we got another forced encounter of duplicate ghosts. And enemy from Chapter 7. So they're not going to give any star points, but it is a forced encounter, so... I have been very curious, because I wonder if Spook will actually work here. I just keep flicking the stick to the left, and... oh? Well, it half worked. Huh. What other opportunity am I going to have to show off all of the silly moves that the partners have? So why don't we try Parakarry's airlift next? After I do some damage to this Duplicose, of course. Although, it's going to be really funny trying to do airlift on Parakarry, but... the heck with it. Oh my god! So that actually worked. Parakarry lifting himself away from the battlefield. What other moves do the partners have that aren't very used? Actually, I think it was just those two. McAllister's Hurricane, we actually got to see in the boss fight with Huff and Puff, and yeah, that didn't turn out too good. So, well, there you guys go. I managed to show off the last. Actually, I'm not 100% sure if I already showed off Dizzy Shell. So let's attack the Duplighost and let's let him do his thing, and let's go ahead and use Dizzy Shell just so we make sure we cover the bases here. Yeah. And it didn't work, even though I got almost to the max. Oh well. Let's finish off the Duplighost. This joke of a fight by this point in the game, let me tell you. I mean, they do have a lot of HP, so they are a nuisance. This much we can't deny. But we do want to head back to the Heart Block. Believe you me. We do want to head back to the Heart Block because on the other side of that door is going to be another boss fight. Are you surprised by now? Well, you might not be too bad. Let's swap in Goombario. Why not?